for those that don't know who you are and are saying streaming video tech, what? Who are these people?
Yeah, no. I mean, the SVA at the time was the Streaming Video Alliance. Started in 2014 with, I want to say 17 member companies.
Yeah.
And the impetus was really, Alon Mayor from Quill. I think he got this idea of like, hey, we were in this transition of transparent caching, and but we knew operator networks needed caches at the edge. So he, I think, kind of came up with this brainstorm idea of like, why can't we democratize caching, make it an open standard? And so he went and sat on people's doorsteps and knocked on doors and got people interested. And the SVA was created. And so originally the impetus was around sort of a place to develop this idea of standardized, democratized caching infrastructure. But obviously there were other working groups even at the time. There was some security stuff and some geo stuff and some other networking and transport stuff. It wasn't just open caching, but largely it was open caching.
That was the focus. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they realized a couple of years in that they, that in order for the SVA to really grow, they needed to get somebody neutral in. And so at the time, Limelight was a board member, and Joe DiPaolo at the time was on the board. And he's like, hey, I know this guy at Limelight. He would be perfect. And, from there to here, that's what I've been doing. I came in to lead the organization. We added a T to the name a couple of years ago in order to make people aware that we were not touching on business issues. We're talking about monetization. We're talking about business models.
Yeah.
Really addressing streaming tech. And obviously the organization has grown considerably. I think we're now close to around 130 member companies. Most of the streaming who's who, the companies that really have an impact in the industry are participating. This year alone, we published 23 documents and 23 new projects started.
Wow.
We added 2 new working groups this past month, one for encoding and packaging. So, to capture best practices, because we have all this stuff like context-aware encoding, and it's great for specific use cases, but everyone's kind of, doing it their own way. And so it's like, why don't we share this information with everybody? That's what we are, right? So we are what would normally be called a standards definitions organization, an SDO. We're very much like IETF or CTA Wave or W3C or SCUDY or SMPTE. We have working groups, and everybody meets and they decide on what to work on, and then they create some deliverable, whether that's a document, a spec, a best practices, or even software code, and then we give it away, right? But we don't do standards, and the reason for that is the streaming video industry is super moving fast. Best way to put it. Standards take about
and very political, by the way. Very politically correct statement there, Jason.
Yeah. So it's just moving very quickly, and by the time you standardize something, people would be like, we're not doing it that way anymore. Like, we figured out a better way. And so we stick with things that people can use right now, like either specs or guidelines or best practices, or again, software code. And the organization, is really, really expanded. Our mission has grown a bit. We now have a university. We have public repo where you don't have to be a member to participate. Again, all these projects. We just launched our first industry group for streaming sports called the Streaming Sports Council. And that's to capture the technical challenges. It's not to solve them. It's just to say, like, what are the technical challenges for delivering, high quality live sports events at scale? And we'll feed our working groups with those challenges to potentially solve them with solutions, or we'll feed other organizations. We'll feed industry events like conferences like Sports Pro and SVG, so that they have technical topics that are germane to the sporting industry rather than just trying to guess. It's like, no. These were surfaced by people actually in the industry.
Doing the work.
Yes, exactly. And so that's where we're at now. I mean, it's, again, we're continuing to grow, continuing to try to do things. This year we merged with -IF. So anybody in the industry probably knows that there's a lot of associations. And if you want to participate in them, you're paying membership fees for different ones, and it's a pain. And so -IF recognized, like, we really want this work to continue. We're at a point where, we're continuing to iterate on the Dash spec, but we're also maintaining the Dash.js player base and, some other things. And it's like, we need to get someplace where this integrates well. And There was either us or DVB. They were talking to both of us, and they selected SVTA because we were a little less bureaucratic. We wanted to kind of let them do what they were doing. And so this year, it's been great. We have a -IF working group now. It's kind of the same as it was as a separate organization, but now you just join the SVTA and you get to access both the SVTA work and the -IF work, and that's worked out really well. And we'll integrate a little bit better next year. There's some duplicative functions underneath -IF that would probably be better served by being part of a larger SVTA working group. But that's the story of the SVTA. Where I said we're doing really, really well. Fantastic year from a growth and membership perspective, and especially projects and work output. It's just been it's been amazing. All those volunteers, they're absolutely fantastic.